Imagine a phone that folds not once, but twice. Could this be Samsung's boldest move yet in the smartphone market? All signs are pointing to something big. The rumored Galaxy Tri-Foldable could be launching later this year. But it's not just the design that has people talking. It's what's inside the phone that might be a game changer. According to reliable leaks, Samsung's upcoming foldable device will include a new silicon carbon battery, a technology that could finally bring meaningful improvements to battery life without making phones bulky. So what makes silicon carbon batteries different? Traditional lithium-ion batteries have limits when it comes to how much energy they can store in a small space. But silicon carbon batteries change that. They hold more energy in the same size, which means you get better performance without needing a bigger phone. This matters even more for foldables, where space is already tight because of all the moving parts and displays. For a long time, Samsung has been careful, maybe too careful, when it comes to new battery tech. While other companies have pushed fast charging speeds past 100 watts, Samsung's top-tier phones like the Galaxy S25 Ultra are still stuck at 45 watts. That's why the news about the Tri-Foldable using silicon carbon batteries is a big step. It shows Samsung might finally be ready to take some risks and bring more advanced features to its foldable devices. But there's a catch. This phone won't be for everyone. Reports suggest that only around 200,000 units will be made at first, and they'll only be available in select regions. Why so limited? The cost. A device with cutting-edge design and next-gen battery tech won't come cheap. Samsung seems to know this and is keeping expectations realistic in terms of sales. Still, there's a good reason for all the focus on battery improvements. A phone with 3 foldable panels will need a massive display, and that display will drain power quickly. Even though the reported battery size is under 5,000 mAh, which is pretty average for Samsung, it's the silicon carbon tech that helps make better use of that capacity. So while the battery number doesn't sound exciting on its own, the tech inside could make a noticeable difference. It's important to be realistic, though. Even with this new battery, the Tri-Foldable probably won't break any records for battery life. A phone with such a large display and foldable mechanics will naturally consume more power. But compared to other foldables that use older battery types, this new one could offer longer usage times and more reliable performance, especially under heavy use. Another bonus with silicon carbon batteries is durability. They're designed to handle wear and tear better than older batteries. For a foldable phone, that's a huge plus. People are going to be opening and closing this phone all day long, and having a more durable battery means fewer problems down the line. This shift to new battery tech could signal a broader change in Samsung's approach. Foldables are still seen as niche, but if Samsung can solve some of the practical issues like battery life and durability, more people might start taking them seriously. It's clear that the company is investing in making foldables not just cool-looking, but also more reliable and long-lasting. That said, all of this hinges on how well the final product performs. Can it meet user expectations in real-world use? Will the price tag scare people away, or will tech fans be willing to pay for innovation? Those are questions only time can answer. What do you think about this new direction Samsung is heading in? Would you consider buying a Tri-Foldable phone if it offered better battery life and durability? Or is the high price still too much of a barrier? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more updates on cutting-edge tech like this, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more.
What happens when a phone looks amazing on the outside, but the price tag makes everyone hesitate? That's exactly what's happening with Samsung's new Galaxy S25 Edge. At first glance, it had everything people wanted: sleek design, top specs, and the promise of something fresh in a market full of boring upgrades. But now, as more details are coming out, many are wondering if this phone is really worth it. For a while now, big brands like Samsung and Apple have mostly played it safe. Each year, their phones get a bit faster, the cameras improve slightly, and the screens get brighter. But nothing has really stood out. Most of the bold changes, especially in design and camera tech, have been coming from Chinese companies like Vigo and Xiaomi. The problem is, those phones are often hard to find outside Asia. So, when Samsung teased a super thin phone, the S25 Edge, many thought was finally time for something different. The Galaxy S25 Edge was introduced as a thinner and lighter version of the regular S25 Plus. It has a 6.66-inch AMOLED screen with a refresh rate of 120 Hz, powered by the new Snapdragon 8 Elite chip. There's 12 gigabytes of RAM and up to 512 gigabytes of storage. The phone is made with a titanium frame. It's just 6.4 millimeters thick and weighs only 162 grams. Basically, it looked like Samsung had created a phone that was both powerful and stylish. It also packs a strong camera setup. The main camera has 200 megapixels with optical image stabilization. There's also a 12 megapixel ultra-wide camera and a 10 megapixel front-facing camera. The battery is smaller though, at 3,900 mAh and supports 25-watt charging. That's less battery than the S25 Plus, but many users were willing to accept that trade-off in exchange for the lighter, slimmer body. Everything sounded good until the price leaked. In countries like Italy, the 256 gigabyte version is showing up at around 1,360 euros, which converts to about 1,100 US dollars. That's around $100 more than the S25 Plus, even though the Edge has a smaller battery and one less camera. And suddenly, the excitement started to fade. People expected something priced reasonably, especially since the thinner body means a few compromises. But Samsung seems to be betting that thinness alone is worth the extra money. That's where the real problem starts. Most users are happy to pay more for useful upgrades, better battery life, extra cameras, or new features. But paying more for a phone that actually has less in some areas doesn't sit well with most buyers. On the other side, Apple might be making a smarter move. Their upcoming iPhone 17 Air is expected to cost around $900. It won't have all the bells and whistles of the Pro Max, but it might include features like a 120 Hz display and a new battery design that lasts longer and charges faster. Apple seems to understand that for a thin phone to succeed, it needs to be affordable enough to make sense. There's also the bigger picture. Tech companies are facing rising costs around the world due to tariffs and supply chain issues, so pricing matters more than ever. Right now, Apple seems to have the better plan, cutting down on features a little but keeping the price at a point where buyers still feel like they're getting value. It's clear the Galaxy S25 Edge isn't a bad phone. It has a lot going for it. Sharp display, powerful processor, premium materials, and solid cameras. But none of that matters if the price pushes people away. It's not just about making a good phone. It's about making one that feels like a good deal. Samsung still has time to adjust the price before launch. If they don't, they risk turning the S25 Edge into an example of how even a great-looking device can fall short if it feels overpriced. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel for more updates on the latest smartphones. Apple's latest budget-friendly iPhone 16e may look familiar on the outside, but a recent teardown has uncovered some surprising internal upgrades that make it stand out. While the phone retains the design language of older iPhones, sharing similarities with the iPhone 14, its internal components reveal a different story. A closer look at the iPhone 16e's internal structure shows a layout that closely resembles the iPhone 15, but with a few key changes. One of the biggest differences is the camera system. Instead of the dual camera setup found on the iPhone 15, Apple has opted for a single 48 megapixel wide lens on the 16e. By removing the secondary lens, Apple has freed up additional space inside the device. This extra space has been put to good use as the teardown confirms the inclusion of a larger battery, a welcome improvement for those prioritizing battery life. Initially, leaks suggested the iPhone 16e would house a 3,961 mAh battery, but the teardown reveals that the actual capacity is slightly higher at 4,005 mAh. This difference may seem small, but any boost in battery life is always a major advantage, especially for users who rely on their phone throughout the day.